There is a very serious problem right now, as Jordan and I are personal friends. Censorship is a real thing. And the more this message gets out there, the harder. For those who may not know, the three most powerful people in all of media, Jack Dorsey, I forgot the person who's the CEO of Google, and of course, Mark Zuckerberg, were in front of
the trifecta, the axis of evil.
Yeah, and I guess they were in front of the
YouTube
the House
guy,
subcommittee
right?
of I don't remember which committee it was, but they're basically
They get to be in charge.
They're basically trying to suppress this type of message. And what's interesting, and this is a good segue back to Milton Friedman and Ayn Rand, they do not try to suppress that kind of message. So we've got a lot of these libertarians in this country, and listen, I'm very socially libertarian, but economic libertarianism is not feasible.
No, it's a joke.
Okay, I right now have my 20-year-old who has had to take the year off of college is going through his Ayn Rand phase right now, and so
We all had it.
Obviously I know. And I said that to him, and he's like, "My what?" I'm like,
You'll
whatever.
understand.
Yeah,
You'll understand.
After Atlas shrugs, you're going to drink from the fountain, and you're going to grow up and realize that you got to become a progressive.
Which is also why I don't think that the whole message of Reagan was really what stuck. I mean, obviously, I always try to tell people there's the Reagan in the first term, and then there's the Reagan in the second term,
which was
where
really Bush.
everything went to hell. The truth of the matter is, the tax cuts initially made sense, but when you do tax cuts, you're supposed to do it in a bear market. You're not supposed to do it in a bull market. You're supposed to raise taxes. There's this balancing effect that did not take shape, and we all know that Reagan cognitively was not there, especially in the second term. And there were these voices, if you will, these influencers of the time that became really big commodities. And of course, Milton Friedman and Ayn Rand are two particular individuals that really come to mind, where a lot of people subscribe to their philosophy, the sort of Gordon Gekko philosophy of the 1980s. And we've kind of been stuck in that for 4 decades now. And I don't know how we completely unwind, peel back that onion or just, do away with that economic philosophy. But there has to be a way to show them that what they're preaching is wrong, and how the new ideas, the progressive ideas, is really the way forward.
Yeah.
So remember my fight against the UBI. My fight against the UBI is largely, why are you going to put the onus on the person to make good decisions in a world that they have very little control in,
when they shouldn't have to be paying those things anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the thing is that Milton Friedman was the father of the UBI, basically. And his goal was to strip away the public space. They wanted to make the government so small that they could basically crush it. And that is an adorable dog. They wanted to make the government.
Hello, Lou.
No, I'm sorry. She gets needy. She'll just sit there for a minute.
I'm like so down with the dog stuff. I don't have one anymore, and I miss it. So I'm living vicariously here. But if you think about it, the idea here is always pushing you to private sector solutions, right? Once you have cash, there's no need for money in the government. The government can do whatever it needs to do at will. So the money in the private sector is about you spending in the private sector. And so that means you're reliant on the private sector. And Milton Friedman believed the only thing wrong with capitalism was we needed more capitalism. So let's go ahead and give people a UBI and tell them to shut up. We'll strip away the public space. And this goes back to the Mont Pelerin Society trying to destroy the New Deal. And I mean, let's be fair, the New Deal wasn't great for everybody either. The New Deal saved capitalism, right? It didn't, there was a potential for a socialist revolution, and the New Deal was the great compromise. It wasn't like the great solution, it was the great compromise.
Right. He was saving capitalism, which is so funny. And then people think, oh, it was so socialist. I'm like, yeah, no, he was saving them from a guillotine. That's what he was doing.
Exactly it. And you think about it, right? Like here we are talking about, hey, we want a Green New Deal. Well, a Green New Deal is still largely saving capitalism once again. We're literally trying to bail capital out. Now, I'm telling you, I'm for a Green New Deal at the expense of us surviving climate change, right? I don't want to see you Floridians underwater, right? I'd like to see you have nice lives.
So,
and
yeah, like you know what? We might save this country, but I don't think we're saving.
I think Florida's a lost cause.
I think Florida's.
Florida's cause. We're going to have to accept that.
We're really, I mean, listen, we joke about it, but we're the limp penis of the United States.
Stop
We
it.
just are.
Oh, for
It's
God's
just,
sake.
when you think about it, it's like,
And
yeah,
New Orleans is the rectum. It's true.
yeah.
We're joking earlier. I probably shouldn't let the cat out of the bag, but we were talking earlier about doing part of my show as speed dating with Robespierre and bringing all these people on, and who's going to get the guillotine next. And I think DeSantis probably needs it. He at least needs the floods to take him, to a different place.
I'm not going to give this guy. Look, we've got a handful of libertarians that are in the chat, and they're throwing their 2 cents in about everything. All I can tell you is, if you need to understand what happened during, if you need to understand what happened during the New Deal era before the start of World War II, see, everyone is under this illusion, and this is what the conservative messaging, as you know, took off in the 1980s. The idea is that the Great New Deal was actually a failure.
He was born in '83.
Yeah,
he talks like he remembers Reagan. I
was born in '69, and I, for real, like, just to be fair,
71. Okay? I'm 71.
All right, so you guys are both the youth of today. I'm the elder here, right? The gray beard and all.
Well, no, you and I are Gen Xers.
That's true. I love it. I love it. Yes, but think about this, right? So I voted for Ron Paul. I loved Ron Paul. I thought he was the god of all things before I knew MMT. And once I realized the dude didn't know his butt from his elbow when it came to economics. And I mean, literally, the guy is like a zero when it comes to economics. The Austrian school is the biggest crock of kimchi of all time. And what the reality is that they don't understand state theory of money. They don't understand the fact that the state has the monopoly power of the dollar, right? Yeah. And so they try to make it, and this is something wrong with some of the public banking thinking too. I support public banks, let's be clear, but I don't support the mindset of the Ellen Brown school, which doesn't quite understand public debt, doesn't quite understand the role of the federal government. They still got a lot of anti-Semitism in that whole Rothschilds thing. I mean, just a lot of lunacy out there, right? I mean, let's drink the Kool-Aid together. But the reality is that Milton Friedman and libertarians have always believed in bootstraps, the strong, the makers, the takers, I mean, you go back to who's John Galt. I mean, look, guys, I was a Republican my entire life. Literally, I never voted for Democrat. I mean, I voted for Bush Sr. I voted for Bob Dole. I voted for McCain. No. Did I vote for McCain? I think I did vote for McCain, actually.
That's a vote for Sarah Palin.
There you go. But I voted for Ron Paul, though, and so and I voted for Jill Stein. And so ultimately, I get the whole libertarian
Russian assets,
but the thing is, a guy like me, I get the whole, I have an article out there that I talk how I came to MMT, and I talk a little bit about the libertarian background. I talk about a little bit of the right wing background. I mean, I literally listen to Rush every day of the week. I mean, literally, mega dittos. I can beat a liberal with one half of my brain tied behind my back. All these things. I knew the stuff inside and out. Now I'm left, I'm way over there now because I realized that most of the things that made me over here are bullshit. They were wrong. They literally didn't exist. They were propaganda. And I have been bitterly angry ever since I found out. And I've been on a one-man tear before. Now it's great to see so many people knowing about MMT. But back in the beginning, when I first came out, I mean, we real progressives, we had, Debbie, this insane progressive that would come on. We had, Arn Manconi would come on. We had Claudia Stauber back in the day. We had all these folks. I mean, tons of folks that were on our show, Tim Black and all kinds of stuff were going on. And ultimately, the way algorithms screwed us up, kind of took us out of the game a little bit. But I literally, when I came out and said taxes don't fund spending, people thought I was a libertarian. They thought I was fighting for libertarian rules so I could get rid of tax because I don't want to pay my taxes and stuff like that. They didn't understand. And literally, I mean, I got trolled, I got doxxed, I got all kinds of horrible things. I lost the job. I mean, all kinds of stuff over this. But I have never stopped. It is the absolute 150% truth. And it is literally the kind of thing that, if you're in that right-wing cult of this whole Ayn Randian, Milton Friedman world, MMT is the solution, because once you have that big epiphany, you're like, oh my God, how many connecting points do I have to disconnect now that I've learned that, taxes don't fund spending, that the government is the creator of the currency, all these different things. Once you get there, there's you can't unsee it.
Yeah.
How much of that do you think played a role in the mindset of the way people dealt with COVID when it really started to take off?
100%.
this is like, I don't want the government helping me with anything. I don't have to take anybody's help. You're dying from COVID. Yeah, but I don't need help.
No, and then there was that whole mindset of every man for himself, pull yourself up from your bootstraps, which, by the way, that saying is a farce. It's not meant to be a real thing. It's meant as that's not possible. And yet people say that like that's a thing. That's not a thing. You can't do that. It's physically impossible. That's the whole point of it.
Exactly. I think so much of this whole, anytime I hear somebody say they want small government and they want a government, they don't want government intervention and stuff like that. I'm sympathetic because I see the way government has been co-opted. It's been captured. A lot of our institutions have been captured. When Democrats say that they're going to come in and they're going to save something, they're going to do something, and then they give you garbage. They have their rotating villain to knock it down.
Yeah.
Right? When you see this happen over and over again, it's pretty easy to see why people think progressives are full of shit. It's pretty easy to see why they think Bernie's full of crap. It's easy to see why they think AOC's full of crap. And reality is that, right now, if Joe Manchin can single-handedly stop things from happening, you can pretty much tell it's bullshit. And you look back at Cory Booker when he stopped the pharmaceutical thing.
Oh,
was that his turn to be the rotating idiot? Yes, it was. And so this keeps happening. And so it's real easy to say, you know what? I've had enough. I'm not going to buy it this time. You can't sell me another lie. You're rejecting. It's like being taken into the Matrix and you're watching the girl in the red dress and you're eating the steak. It ain't steak, but damn it, you want to do it anyway because your mind says it is.
I feel like I'm in the Matrix, but it's very, very difficult. And I think that, I always talk about people being bridges and connecting different groups of people and bringing them on board to ideas that they might not otherwise be exposed to. And I feel like in some sort of, accidental, reluctant way, I feel like I'm in a position to do that. So, that's, what we're trying to do and get people who wouldn't otherwise be paying attention to politics or paying attention to economics to understand that they've been being lied to basically forever. Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.